So, what animals do you remember seeing in Crystal Cove? Maybe you remembered seeing some small birds, such as sparrows, hopping on the ground, eating seeds, a red-tailed hawk circling overhead, looking for prey, maybe some squirrels running across the trail, or even a butterfly landing on a flower to eat some nectar. Everything you saw and listed is part of the huge connected ecosystem of Crystal Cove. Because there are so many species living in Morrow Canyon, it can be helpful for us to narrow it down to something much smaller, even a single plant, to focus our area of study to the species that are most important to our research. The plant we'll focus on today is a California buckwheat, so we can take a look at the organisms that live on or within a single California buckwheat, where they all interact with each other. You and your research teams will receive a set of cards with some of the most common animals we might find on or within a buckwheat plant. Each card also describes what that organism eats, which can help us categorize them to make a food web. The 5 categories that describe how an organism gets their energy are producers, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and last but not least, decomposers. So, producers are organisms like plants that can make their own energy-rich food molecules from non-living things as an energy source. Sunlight is the case with plants. Consumers are organisms like rabbits or snakes that must eat other plants or animals to obtain energy. Consumers can eat plants, animals, or both. So there are different types of consumers depending on what they eat. These are called carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores. Carnivores are animals that eat other animals. An example would be a red-tailed hawk that might eat rabbits. An herbivore is an animal that eats plants, so an example could be a housefinch that eats seeds. And an omnivore is an animal that eats both plants and animals, like a coyote. Finally, we have decomposers. So these are organisms that break down dead plants and animals. These could be organisms like worms or some insects, or even microscopic organisms like bacteria and fungi that we can't see. Now it's your turn to sort the organisms inside of our buckwheat plant. Open up a blank page in your science journal and divide the page into 5 columns. And label them with plants, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and decomposers. Then work with your research team to categorize the organisms from your cards.